All right, getting right into this with tools. This is Studio Janai Waru Janai, aka Matt Holzman, coming to you here about tools. We're going to go through these real quick, what each one is, and then we'll do a demonstration in a few minutes on each tool. Probably its own little video on how it works and what's going to be needed to clean them up. We'll get into advanced features later on as to how to clean up a nub that's left from nipping. You know, better quality nippers obviously don't leave much of a nub, if any. Something else to think about when you're building your kits is some sort of part separation tray. But if you're gonna, if you're just starting out, maybe you don't need that. I can show you a little interesting thing that you can do with just your box that'll help you with that to start. I personally like to use a dishwasher tray. This is what I use. Keeps my parts separated and clean for me. A lot of people custom print things, they order things. It's whatever, you do you. That's one of the things a lot of people say in gunpla is freedom. So we'll go through this real quick. We've got our basic scissors. Now you can use these to cut parts from a router. I don't recommend it. Can be done. I'll show you. It can be done. I don't recommend it. You're gonna probably break parts that way, but can be done. Mostly your scissors are gonna be used for cutting your plastic open off of your box, and maybe for the little trick I'm gonna show you for cutting your box, some slots in your box to make some part separation. Next up, you got some wire nippers. Now see, these have a bit of a rounded edge here. They don't make a nice flush cut. You can see they're actually on a bit of a recess here on both sides for the blade. This will cut. It will do well on your runner, particularly on thicker runner, harder plastic, but you are going to have to do a fair amount of cleanup with something like that. And we have a smaller pair of wire nippers. These I, of course, do use for wires, so you can see there's actually a gap there where the wire has kind of broken the blade a little bit. These do have a flush cut again. They are rounded, though. You can see that rounded edge there. So that doesn't necessarily give you a good cut. Nice flush cut. You're gonna have to clean that up, but again, something like this will work. If you're young and you're just getting into the hobby, you're just given a tool, you can probably find that in your parents' toolbox. They're gonna be pretty common tools, something you can get at the hardware store or the dollar store pretty cheap. Again, I don't recommend this for a long-term builder, somebody who's getting into it. Spend the money, get proper tools. Now, just about everyone household has toenail clippers, fingernail clippers, and I'm sure as soon as people saw those, they thought, "Oh, this isn't a real gunpla builder." It works. You can do it. Again, it's not something I recommend, but if it's your first build and you just want to get the parts off there, it is what it is. Call it what you want. It's not pretty, but it does the job. And we got our blades. You got your snap blade. You can use that to cut your parts directly off. It's big, it's bulky, it's in the way. They make a smaller variant. Can be done. They're cheap. X-Acto blades, X-Acto knives are going to run you a little bit more. Scalpels. I always recommend starting with fresh blades. You'll notice I have a 120 pack. You can get these on Amazon for like $4. Definitely worth starting with a fresh blade on every kit. And as soon as you start noticing resistance, as soon as it's hard to pull through plastic, change that blade. Because the worst thing to have is a dull blade, because that's what's going to cut you. And then we're going to get into our flush cuts. Now, these are like my first pair of flush cuts I ever bought. This was back in 1998, 99. You can see they've had some use. I want to say these were Kleins back in the day. The markings are gone from the handles. You can't even tell what they are anymore. But they were wire cutters. They're flush cut wire nippers. They have a flush flat side here. It's not curved. Single edge on the inside of the blade only, not on the back. So when you cut against your plastic, this is going to leave a nice flush surface. I keep these around, A, because it was my first ever invested tool, this first pair I ever bought, but B, because this works really good on those hard plastic pieces, the clear resin pieces that are really hard to cut through, and they tend to break more than cut. And these, I can beat these to hell, and they'll never break. I mean, they were manufactured for wire, so that's what I use them for. And we got our $3 nippers. This is Mr. Tools. I actually would not have bought these for myself. I won these in a small competition, just a little tool thing. But they're flush cut. They've got the straight back, solid lines. I've actually sharpened mine a little bit, and we'll get into sharpening later. They've got the single edge on the inside, for cutting, nipping. These have worked really well. Again, these are like a you know, if I've got a thicker plastic or something, I use these, and they're doing pretty good. These are my $8 ones I got off of Amazon, Play-Doh. For the money, hands down, this is what you want to buy. You know, you spend $60 on God Hands or 45 on Gun Nippers or some other name brand, but they're all the same. It's a flush, flat surface, single edge blade. They come together, they nip, they cut. These have held up really well. They're actually made out of a carbon steel. I've been babying them. I've been using them on the softer plastics. So I mean, I've had these now I think 3 years, and they've been the perfect tool. So again, if you want to go out and spend the money, invest in this hobby, buy better quality stuff. You know, I recommend starting with at least something of this caliber and an X-Acto blade. I mean, these are your two standbys that you're going to want. There's more things you're going to get down the line, sanding sticks, sponges, you know, we'll get into all that later. But for now, basic tools. So I'll go ahead and clear this off, and we'll get into tool application of what each one is with an example, and we'll go from there. All right.